Today's video will include many instances of chainsaws, robots, and dominatrixes. This is gonna be fun. Clover Studio. It was a small developer founded by Capcom, known for highly acclaimed games like Beautiful Joe, Okami, and God Hand. Clover shut down in early 2007, but most of the people who made it up decided to strike out on their own to make a new studio, Platinum Games, founded in late 2007 by Shinji Mikami, Atsushi Inaba, and Hideki Kamiya. These three were key members of Clover, and with Platinum, they went with the design philosophy of taking risks with original IPs, and even though it's come to be known for its collection of action games, they want to make sure each one has its own unique selling point and loads of replayability. Platinum has a great track record with amazing games like Bayonetta, Metal Gear Rising, Transformers Devastation, Nier Automata, and most recently, Astral Chain. I even think their Legend of Korra game is really good, but one of my favorites of theirs is still the first game they released, MadWorld. Released in 2009 on the Nintendo Wii, MadWorld takes place on Berrigan City, where a terrorist group has unleashed a virus on the public, and the only way for them to survive is to participate in a blood sport called Deathwatch. We play as a bounty hunter named Jack Cayman, as he tears through the rankings of Deathwatch to get to the top in order to shut it down for good. I recently did a MadWorld Let's Play on the channel, so if you're interested, that's there for you to watch. It's got its aged moments, but MadWorld is still a fun, stylish beat-em-up that I feel really could use a re-release on the Switch or something.
I don't help people. I kill them.
The fact I have a chainsaw arm should make that pretty clear.
But what if I told you MadWorld had a sequel? Technically. Anarchy Reigns. Released in mid-2012 in Japan and early 2013 everywhere else, Anarchy Reigns is a beat-em-up in a similar vein as MadWorld, taking things in a different direction. It brings back a bunch of characters from MadWorld, but the canonicity between the two games is strange to say the least. It received mostly positive reviews when it came out, but it sold incredibly poorly. I don't know how accurate these numbers are, but according to what I could find, Anarchy Reigns maybe sold 40,000 copies across the PS3 and Xbox 360, and this was even despite it only costing $30 at launch. I remember really liking it back in the day, but now I'm in a phase where everything I liked before I was 20 needs to be reevaluated to confirm to myself that it was actually good. So let's take a look at this sort of continuation of the MadWorld series and see if it holds up. Ready your killer weapons and get ready for a brawl. Let's take a look at Anarchy Reigns.
You wanna pay me now, 'cause right now it's about to go down.
The story opens on bounty hunter Jack Cayman, hanging out at a bar when three members of the Bureau of Public Safety come in looking for a rogue member named Maximilian Caxton, who fled after he killed his wife, Undyne. The story is split into two parts that you can tackle in either order. The white side follows Leonhard Victorian, a cyber BPS agent working with his teammates, the ice-cold and ice-wielding human Sasha, and the electrified, by-the-book cyborg Nikolai. These three were on a team led by Max and are sent to find and kill him. But Leo isn't convinced his former mentor is completely lost, and tries to encourage the others to bring him back alive so he can be put on trial.
No, this doesn't fit. Something's not right.
Meanwhile, the black side follows Jack, who was hired by Max's daughter Jeannie to bring him back alive. But Jack has his own reasons for hunting down Max.
They put themselves on death row. I just made sure they got there safely.
He begrudgingly teams up with some fellow bounty hunters, Baron, an egotistical pimp, accompanied by his lovely lethal lady, Matilda. Yeah, these two look familiar, don't they? We'll get to that in a bit. Along their respective paths, Jack and Leo need to brute force their way through the streets and ruins of 4 locations that are riddled with cyborg gangsters and rampaging mutants, other rival gangs, mercenaries, and bounty hunters that are also on the prowl, either looking for Max or just someone to kill. This is a post-apocalyptic world so damaged by war and pollution that it's seeped into the very DNA of humanity. Most are born with serious birth defects, and cybernetics are needed to keep most people alive, or they just deck themselves out to become more lethal killing machines. the cat-like Durga who likes to tease his prey before blasting them away with his revolver cannon that's built into his leg. Edgar Oinky, a junk seller who's a karate master on top of infusing himself with liquid that turns him into a mutant. The sisters of the Crimson Dragon clan, the fan-wielding fire-using Rin, the flirtatious Fei Rin, whose cold killer instinct matches her ice trident, and the excitable youngest sister Irene, who's as energetic as the lightning that courses through her nunchucks. There are a lot of fun characters with cool designs, but most of them hardly get any screen time. Fei Rin and Irene are only seen in one mission, and bad guys like Durga and his Transformer-esque partner Garuda are killed off within minutes of meeting them. The story may be about Jack and Leo, but they could have had more opportunities to flesh out the others.
We're done here, Baron.
Done? This motherfucker's not even medium rare.
Fair fights don't exist. I'm in the cut watching you. Watching, waiting for my time. Ain't no rules in war. Laughing at you.
The goal of each level is to gain points in order to finish the final mission. You gain points from killing enemies that run around the map either by your own hands or with environmental objects, but this isn't the most efficient way to get points. As you collect, you unlock two types of missions, free and main. Free missions give you different challenges to rack up points quickly. Kill so many enemies, do a one-person race and destroy everything in your path, face off against a herd of mutants, escort a robot back to his bar, ride on the back of a berserker mutant. These missions are varied and you can play them repeatedly. Then there are the main missions that need to be done in order to finish the level. These are related to the story and will often be some form of boss battle, whether it be up against another character or an extra powerful monster. Some missions will have you team up with others and let you pick who you want to play as before you start. When you beat a mission, you'll get a medal depending on how you did. And after you finish all the main missions, your medals will be compiled into a final trophy for the whole level. There are 8 levels in the 4 different locales. Jack and Leo will explore different sections of the same areas, and different hazards or means of traversal will be open to them. In the streets of Alhambra, Jack can brawl in a back alley or a factory that occasionally fills with fire, and Leo can take an elevator to get to the highest rooftops and get into the mutant-infested sewers. In the desert area, Leo can take on Cyber Joe in the ghost town of Barishur that was ravaged by mutants. Or Jack can have a rumble in the underground mines that sprout with the infected stalks of the mutated fauna. When it starts to rain, the creeps run for cover as a powerful enemy chases you down, whether it be a powerful mutant, some extra strong goons, or a vehicle. Speaking of vehicles, there are also various vehicular obstacles that crash through the level, like runaway trucks or jets that carpet bomb the area. This world is just brimming with madness. You could say it's a mad world.
The fuck?
Speaking of MadWorld though, there are many things that make me question how connected it is to Anarchy Reigns. Characters like Jack and his handler Amala are back, and throughout there's even blink and you'll miss it references like Deathwatch and side characters like Naomi and her father. Matilda is back sporting a similar outfit and her spiked bat skills are on full display, and she has a new Manatee in the Blacker Baron, who's not the same as the Black Baron from MadWorld because, well, the new Baron is actually black. He has the same pimp motif, but he cares about Matilda, and even Jack in a frenemies kind of way.
You think I'd have my clothes or my lady if I spent all day pontificating like y'all motherfuckers?
And then there's Rin, who shows up saying she was sent by her clan to kill Jack, but we don't learn more beyond that. Is this Rin different from Rin that Jack killed in MadWorld? They're similar in almost every way, but they don't seem like the same person. Maybe Rin was a mentor to Rin, and that's why the Crimson Dragon sent her to kill Jack.
Perhaps, but the Crimson Dragon has ordered me dead, and I am honor-bound to see it done.
But someone we know who was killed but brought back is Big Bull, formerly known as Big Bull Crocker, who's become a complete cyborg and who seems to know Jack but also respects him.
So long, brother. May your horns roll on.
And then there's Leo. Is he actually Leo Falmont from MadWorld? The answer is no. There's no connection between these two. Not even their full first names are the same. But speaking of Falmont, now that I think about it, I wonder if Springvale, the pharmaceutical company that unleashed the virus on Berrigan City in MadWorld, could have contributed greatly to the diseased world of Anarchy Reigns. Maybe as a panic move, they unleashed a ton of the virus before the Bureau could crack down on them. It should be apparent that these are baseless theories, but the connections are there. We just don't have any definitive answers.
You've been around. You figure it out.
I suppose we should get back to Anarchy Reigns and detail its themes of drug abuse and corruption of justice.
I'm starting to think life's bad for my health.
Take a look at me and tell me, do you think I like living like this? This world is stressing me.
Let's put some things in order and fill in the blanks. The story itself really revolves around Max, as his actions set the whole thing in motion. He was a master of cyber arts and led his previously mentioned squad. He was respected by most of his team, and he had a loving family. But during a hostage situation, he accidentally killed a young girl in the crossfire. This sent him into a downward spiral of depression and substance abuse that got so bad it damaged his cybernetics, which developed into a homicidal alter ego, a bloodthirsty, paranoid state of mind that attacks anyone who's unlucky enough to be in his path, fighting with the precision and poise he's known for, but with the desperation and anger of a caged beast.
I know the drill. Shoot to kill. You should have shot first, Leo.
There's a scene he has with Leo where he talks casually about trying to close old cases he never finished while he's on the run, and goes into great detail about his wife's cooking.
The olive oil on top, real extra virgin, none of that composite shit. Slap it in the oven. Man, that's a damn goodie.
He even acknowledges that he should just turn himself in, return to his daughter, and try to make up for what he's done. But when he stops to think about all that, he gets swallowed up by his regret, remembering the horrible things he did. When he worked for the Bureau and sometimes framed innocent people just so they had suspects, realizing the corruption of the system he worked for, but kept encouraging.
You can't keep bringing them in every day, knowing the truth. The pain they've caused. Where's the righteousness in that?
And during his drug-fueled rampages that got so many others wrongfully slaughtered, including his own wife. It took me a long time to figure this out despite it being in his bio, but the scars on his face are from him clawing at his head with his robotic nails during some of his manic episodes. The horror that washes over him when he has the clarity to remember he's become a monster that's destroyed his family and many others. And one of the families he's ruined was Jack's. The little girl that Max killed was Jack's daughter, Stella. Jack is a hardened killer like Max, but of a different kind, from being a multi-time Death Watch champion to a member of other various military and police type functions. Jack's seen the corruption in both extremes of lawful and chaotic. Stella was to him a chance to try and be better than his past, even quitting smoking at her request.
Shit, you quit smoking? Ooh, what is the world coming to?
Daughter says it's bad for my health.
The fuck? Oh, you mean Stella? Damn, Jack.
But when that beacon of light is snuffed out by a member of an uncaring, self-serving system, why can't he create his own selfish justice in the form of his revenge?
You're just like me. We don't help people, we kill them. I'd ask you to say hi to Stella, but you're not going where she is.
Despite the hypocrisy of doing similar things as Max, like throwing innocents under the bus just for a paycheck, Jack isn't even overdosing on pills and he throws his own fits of rage that could get other people killed, but he shrugs it off uncaringly. Even Baron has to step in and tell him to cool his jets. When this guy's the voice of reason, you know you're slipping up.
Not one more word, motherfucker, or I'ma jack and jill both your asses up the hill. You dig?
These sound like some interesting themes and situations, right? Well, it's not like the story is crystal clear. Some of the writing is very oddly presented, and there's a lot of threads left to dangle. There's no real evidence that Max killed his wife. There's even hints that he was framed by Nikolai, but we never know for sure. Amala tells Jack that the BPS is covering up that Max is the one who murdered Stella and not a kidnapper, but then Max says she wasn't killed by him but still feels guilty that she died on his watch. Is Max misremembering because of his personality disorder, or is Amala's info wrong? What doesn't help is that some cutscenes change depending on if you start with the black or white side, so you'll technically have to play through the campaign twice to get all the information, but it's still not totally clear. Point being, it's not the best told story, and how I presented it is just me confidently assuming I got the details right. The cutscenes are also really long between levels, as in they really want to tell the story, but it doesn't do it in a straightforward way. It's got its inconsistent bits, but it has some deep and dark ideas lying underneath the ever-growing mountain of corpses.
This world is stressing me. Everybody's testing me. I just wish they'd let me be, because the ones that I love, they in pain saying rescue me. I just need to set them free. Yeah, I just need to set them free.
Yeah, that was a jarring transition, but we gotta talk more in depth about the gameplay. Like its predecessor MadWorld, Anarchy Reigns is a beat-em-up. There are similarities, but the combat is made much deeper here, and even though every character functions more or less the same, they all have their own unique abilities and aspects that separate them. Every character is themed with an element that gives them various resistances and attack bonuses depending on the game mode. Fire characters, including but not limited to Jack, Baron, and Rinrin, take less damage from lava and explosions. Shock characters like Leo, Matilda, and Max have easier time shaking off being stunned and can cause stunning. Ice characters like Sasha, Faerine, and Garuda can break out of being frozen easier, and then poison types, which is only taken up by Oinky and Zero, who take less damage from poison, so it's useful against mutant enemies. The largest characters like Douglas and Garuda are slow, but they hit hard and can catch 2 enemies at once with their grabs. The slim, more agile characters including, well, every female character and a couple of the guys, can begin their dash faster and can speed around the battlefield, and everyone can do a dash attack. You got your usual fighting and beat 'em up functions like basic combos with heavy and light attacks, grab attacks that pass through guards, you can block, evade, and grab debris to throw at your fellow killers, but then we have more interesting abilities such as the 360 attacks that can break you out of combos at the cost of some health. A charged lunging attack that throws yourself at an opponent for pretty massive damage, and you can incorporate those lunge attacks with your killer weapons. Holding down the left trigger activates a character's killer weapon, giving you more powerful combos and heavy attacks that do massive damage and are a satisfying way to end an opponent. Attacking with your killer weapon uses up some of its dedicated meter, but it refills when you attack. And another meter that fills up during a brawl is your rampage. When you unleash this, you become invincible and your killer weapon is infinite, but you can instead just rapid punch through anyone who gets in your way. The only way to counter a rampage is by using your own and getting into a clash that will end theirs if you win. Or if you have the health, spam the 360 attack and hope they get distracted or run out of rampage. You're not limited to the weapons you have, well, most likely surgically attached to your body. You can also grab other weapons and pickups like sniper rifles, grenades and shock traps, invisibility, or an automatic use of rampage. These items are devastating and you can hold up to 2 at once, but most won't let you use your killer weapon while you have them equipped. And against mutants, when you lower their health enough, everyone has a unique finisher involving their killer weapons. The executions you get against mutants and other players are really cool, although it can get confusing when you try to hit someone who's caught up in someone else's takedown.
Take the tool, compadre! How you fuck people up with it?
All these abilities and more you'll need for when you enter the ring of multiplayer. With over 13 different game modes and 18 playable characters, this including DLC modes and a playable Bayonetta, there are a lot of ways to turn your opponents into red smears. You got familiar modes like Capture the Flag, Team Deathmatch, or one-on-one brawls, but the highlight is Battle Royale, which is a free-for-all between 16 players until time runs out or you hit a certain amount of points. In some game modes, when you get kills, you'll gain levels up to 3. These will increase the sizes of your health and killer weapon bars. There may be some redundant game types, but it mixes it up with different degrees of teamwork and win objectives. You can play Team Deathmatch, which is a 4v4 brawl in the Battle Royale maps, or you can do Tag Deathmatch, which is 2v2 on different smaller maps, and even letting you team attack with your partner. Or you can play Regular Deathmatch, which is a 4-person free-for-all on the small maps. Survival mode, which is a horde mode against mutants, kill seekers, and BPS robots, but then there's Mad Survival, which puts you up against themed squads of playable characters. There's 2 forms of Capture the Flag, 2 teams of 4, and 3 teams of 2. The bloody team sport Death Ball, where you can't score goals until the gate opens after you have the ball in your possession for so long. There's even a class-based mode called Team Battle, where everyone in the team is assigned a role, like healer or squad leader, and you get different bonuses based on your role, and you can only get points by killing the leader. There's a lot of really cool in-depth game modes, with the only exception of the really boring and not very good dogfight mode, because the controls suck and you're more screwed than usual if somebody gets their rampage. Most of these modes still have things like obstacles, hazards, or item drops that occasionally happen throughout the fight, and other sub-boss enemies will appear that will give you more points if you kill them, and there are bonuses to be earned that could still put you over the top if you fight well. And depending on the game mode, you can use unlockable skills to give you passive buffs, like not consuming health 360 attacks or automatically deflecting grabs. Every punch and kick feels heavy, but the combat is fast and the controls are responsive, and despite how hectic a 16-person vault can be, aside from some screen tearing, I never experienced any frame drops or other bugs. Another cool thing if you're playing a private match is that you can pick every CPU character and chase their colors at will, which is really cool if you're playing alone, which you probably are at this point because I couldn't get into an online match, so I can't tell you how it works in practice. Wow, who would have guessed a poorly selling, obscure 7-year-old game on the 360 doesn't have a player base?
If you want a match with me, don't bother showing up.
That being said, Platinum have been releasing some of their games on Steam, like Bayonetta and Vanquish. I think they should give Anarchy Reigns another chance. With all the game modes and characters, I think it could do well, especially on a PC multiplayer climate. Maybe not a big thing, but it would probably get a little attention. It could do with some balancing and some other tweaks. I'm fairly certain Durga is broken, but I'd like to see Anarchy Reigns get another chance. Not that it'll happen, but hey, I can dream, can't I? Finale time!
You want him to fry? because that's where this is going.
What, so he should die out here?
Okay. Yeah. Let's go.
Jack and Leo have been on and off working together, but things start to come to a head in Bari Shur. Leo knocks out Nikolai and convinces Sasha to help him save Max, and Jack is becoming increasingly angry and no longer cares about his contract with Jeannie. All he wants is Max dead. The first campaign you start with will decide who finds Max first, and it will also decide who you play as in the final chapter, the Red Side. Jack and Leo meet up with an incapacitated Max at their feet. Jack wants his revenge, and Leo wants a fair trial. The two clash, but the battle is interrupted by an armored-up Nikolai saying that any and all who oppose his brand of law and order need to be annihilated. This brings us to the final boss fight against Nikolai and a swarm of the strongest BPS droids yet. It's more or less like every other boss fight in the game, just with more obnoxious shields. Nikolai gets his static metal everything thrown at him, and Jack goes in for the finishing blow. But Nikolai gets back up and kills him and Leo. Wow, this took a turn. Nikolai then gives his villain monologue about how those in power make them indisputable, and ideas like justice and corruption are just words the weak use to cope with their helplessness.
And Victor always writes rules down? We are judge and jury. We decide what law says and what law means. It is our duty, our mission, our life.
Nikolai's victory, however, is made up. A literal delusion of grandeur he plays in his head as Jack lands the final blow. Nikolai isn't dead, but Jack decides to bring him in alive to get tried for his abuse of the system. Leo helps Max, assuring him that he still has hope, and that he can still go home and make up for what he's done, as the group walks off with the confidence that there's still hope for real justice. At least that's what I think is the intention. The plot just kind of stops, and there's a lot of things the book isn't closed on. But chances are we're not getting any answers anytime soon.
Fuck! Fuck!
So that was Anarchy Reigns. How does it hold up? Not too bad, although it's not black and white. The story has a lot of interesting moments and great action scenes, and its themes of drug abuse and redemption have tons of potential, but the tale itself isn't the best told, and it leaves too many unanswered questions, and most characters don't get enough time to shine. The campaign won't take you long. Even on normal, it took me a little over 5 hours, but you can replay any mission as whoever you want and try to get better medals, or find safes that include character models that you can customize to have killer weapons or different colors, and some cool concept art and other unlockables like rewatching cutscenes or listening to the in-game music. Mechanically, it's really fun, and with a wide variety of game modes and characters, there's a lot of experimentation to be had, and the satisfying combat always makes it fun to end someone's kill streak with a well-timed heavy killer weapon attack. There was a lot of potential in Anarchy Reigns, but it got ignored at release and hardly anyone seems to remember it happened. I hope Platinum give this a re-release or maybe even a continuation, but hopefully not through another hard to pin down sort of sequel like this was. If you got an Xbox 360 or PS3, you can pick up Anarchy Reigns and all its DLC for around $25 digitally, or probably find a retail copy for peanuts. If you're interested, give it a try, and have some fun racking up a kill count of killers, and here's hoping we see this game return so chaos can continue to rule.
What you know about Alhambra, bitch?
Hey, this is Timmara, and if you're watching this, I just want to say thank you for watching all the way to the end, and I hope you enjoyed my review of Anarchy Reigns. I didn't have the best deliveries in a couple of spots in the video, but I really like how this turned out. If you want to see the last review I did, which was on 2 versions of the first Gears of War game, click on the annotation in the bottom left. If you want to see my MadWorld Let's Play or any other Let's Plays I've done, click on the annotations above. For more videos and content updates, click on my face in the bottom right. Thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed, like and subscribe and all that. This is Timmara, signing off.